Last week I asked a question. Who's watching the watchers? I'm following up on that this week. I still don't know who's watching the watchers. But let's identify some of these things that people think are watching us, shall we? Stick around. Let's take a look. So again, I ask this question. Is it flock or not? No, this is not a flock. What this is simply a solar-powered streetlight. What you have is you've got a battery pack back there. There is no opening in that for a camera. There's no camera mounted up on top there. It is just a streetlight. Just a streetlight. So, just a streetlight. Not flock. Not flock. Not flock. Not flock. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Shall we? So again, I ask this question. Is it flock or not? Is it flock? Why, yes. Yes, it is. It is flock falcon. It is a flock falcon. So, just so you're aware, now you know that is a flock. There are 26 of them, maybe 27 now, but there's a bunch of them around the Tualatin County area. Heaviest concentration is down around Smith's and Home Depot. Easy to spot once you know what you're looking for. A couple that I missed last week, I know where they are now. I'm not going to run down there tonight. Maybe another day. But in the meantime, let's go find a camera that's not flock. So last week, I misidentified this camera system. And it's understandable because it's really similar to a camera system called the Flock Condor. However, this camera has been put up by a company called Collision Cam. And they make these videos available to people who've been involved in crashes. Now, I don't know what it's looking at right now. It's probably just looking at my truck sitting over there. But I'm sure somebody's going to come have a chat with me about this. But what that company does, Collision Cam, they've got I think it's Instagram mainly and YouTube in cases, where they make a video available to people who've been in accidents. Insurance companies and attorneys, they got to pay for that access, but they give it to the victims for free. And in some cases, I think I mentioned before, some cases, companies who have a high accident rate in front of their business will pay for those services. So, and I believe that insurance companies still have to pay, as they should. But that's not a flock. It may look like one, but it's not. I've already verified this. So, if I see a flock condor, I guarantee you I will go find it. Okay, more later. As I mentioned last week, in public, you do not have a right to privacy. Okay? What you do have, though, is a right against unlawful search and seizure. As a reminder, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, is not to limit the public. The Constitution is to limit government. And that's as far and deep into politics as I'm going to get. So, the camera systems are an encroachment on that right against having unlawful seizure and warrants and stuff like that. Warrantless searches. And that's what this kind of amounts to. It's going to get fleshed out in the courts, and I'm sitting here just as your barely literate Neanderthal. Don't expect me to have an answer for any of this. I'm just identifying things, okay? Anyway, just remember that you've got, every time you turn around, you've got Ring doorbell cameras, you've got Nest doorbell cameras, you've got all sorts of doorbell cameras, you've got people who are recording you for their security purposes. They're not recording you specific unless you're doing something wrong. However, a lot of these companies are quick to turn that information over. If you store it on the cloud, they are quick to turn that over, warrant or not. Most do require a warrant, but not all. That's getting sealed up sooner or later because people are really up in arms about the whole thing. So anyway, as time goes by, it'll all get fleshed out, and it'll either be rough on the citizens or it'll be rougher on the government. And I hope it'll be rougher on the government. We'll see. So while I'm talking about the cameras, and I'm talking about the security cameras and your Ring doorbells and things like that, don't forget the biggest intrusion in your personal privacy is your own phone. It knows everything about you. You have a smart speaker in your home, Amazon Alexa, do you have a Google Mini, whatever they call them nowadays? I used to have one, I don't have one now. Remember, those things are paying attention to every little thing you do. You know, it was like a generation ago, well, maybe a little longer than that. You know, we were all worried about the government listening in on our phones before we got cell phones. We were worried about getting into strangers' cars, and now we call a car that we don't know and a driver that we don't know, and we just willingly hop into an Uber or a Lyft. So take it all with a grain of salt, but stay educated. Be aware of what's going on around you. Like I said, I don't want this to be a political discussion because that's not what it's intended to be. But just pay attention. And if you've got nothing to be worried about, then I guess don't worry about it. Just hope that your license plate doesn't get tagged as somebody else's, or that your car gets your license plate gets shown up as stolen. You know, you just got to pay attention to everything that's going on around you. Otherwise, you either are unaware or you're wholly aware. And if you become hyper aware, then I guess that gets into tin hat territory. And well, I haven't seen tin foil in a long time. I see aluminum foil. And remember that if you make your hat just right, it actually amplifies the signals that the government and the aliens get. Anyway, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, be kind and patient with yourself and others. Just be watchful, just be aware. And I'm going to have a little fun with this, of course, but I think it's going to be a recurring theme. I love you. Roger out.